Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show. I'm your host, Christian Kirsevich, CEO and founder of socialchefs.com. And tonight, we've got a great show for you. You're watching Social Chatter. We cover the latest social media marketing news from Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Pinterest, pretty much every social media channel. But tonight, we've got our co-host. We have a temporary replacement, Mike Gingrich, from MikeGingrich.com. And I'm going to bring Mike on here, and then we're going to bring on a new guest, and his name's Phil Gerbyshak. And so let's bring on Mike, and let's get this show started. Episode 129 of Social Chatter. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, good to be here, Christian. I'm doing well and excited to join you tonight and do a little fill-in role. So it's good to be here.
Thanks so much for being, a co-host this week. I appreciate it.
Yep, I know it's Nick's give me some huge shoes to try to fill, but I'll just try to, maintain hopefully something that he can be satisfied with when he watches the replay.
Sounds good. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Barb, thanks a lot for joining us. Good to see you. But who do we have for our guest this week?
Yes, I'm excited to have a friend, someone that I have met with, Phil Gerbyshak. He's coming to us from Tampa, Florida. He's a sales trainer, sales consultant who's been teaching since he was 15 years old. He's a teacher at heart, and he's delivered programs to small groups to 500 plus for audiences and Fortune 50 to the smallest businesses around. He's been featured in Wall Street Journal, USA Today, Fortune, Inc., and more. When he isn't teaching digital sales transformation, when creating content or reading the latest business book, you can find him playing pinball, walking on Florida's beaches. I've been there with him doing that, and enjoying one of 50 craft breweries in Tampa, Florida area. So Phil Gerbyshak, I'd like to welcome him aboard.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm glad to be here.
Let's get him online, and then we can dive into tonight's latest and greatest.
So Phil should be up.
All right.
So for those of you watching, before we get started, we'd love it if you could hit that share button. Invite your friends. We cover everything that you've missed this week in social media in about 40 to 45 minutes. So, Mike, what do you want to start with?
Well, there's been a lot happening. Phil, how you doing tonight?
I'm fantastic, Mike. It's good to see you again. Hey, Christian. It's good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Excellent. I think there's been a number of changes. That's one thing I like about your show here is that, we always get to talk about some of the latest and greatest. And I think I want to start with two of those and let Phil maybe kind of give some perspective on those. But Twitter bookmarks, which I think is a pretty profound change, and Snapchat's commerce ads. We got two kind of things going on there, and I'd be willing to let you take a pick there, Phil, on which one you want to dive into first.
Well, let's talk about Twitter bookmarks, because I'm more of a Twitter user than I'm a Snapchatter. So I think let's start there. All right. So so my thoughts on Twitter bookmarks. First, I love that they're private. That's fantastic, because no longer do I have to, click the like button. If it's something I don't really like, I can just save it as a bookmark. I think that's great. And that will, I'm hoping, will allow us to go from saving it for just me to maybe saving it with my team as well. And sharing it around, right? I'm hoping that Twitter blows that API up a little bit and lets us share it between teams using some of the apps like a co-schedule or maybe a buffer or a social oomph or something to share that as a team. because that's so important, right? I want to say, hey, Mike, here's a great thing for you, but I don't want you to say, go look at my favorites or have to take a screenshot. I want to be able to save that as a bookmark so you can go get it. What do you think about it, Mike?
I think it's huge. I mean, I think it's long overdue. I think, I've been pinning stuff forever, with Pinterest and that type of thing. So I think that it's a tremendous asset for Twitter, just because I need a way to. I mean, it's a fire hose. You got all these tweets, you got all this information, and what makes it valuable is being able to come back to things and to follow up on things, something that you want to tweet later or whatever. And so to be able to do this, to bookmark it so that I have a place to do that is very valuable. And I mean, I like your ideas. I think that hopefully this is just the start. Right now it's individual bookmarks, but I like your idea there that ultimately be able to, share with team members some of those bookmarks. So I think this is a big one, and I think it's coming at a good time, when we're starting to see a little bit of downturn of time spent on Facebook, just because some of their algorithm changes and things like that. Smart move by Twitter to give us something that's a little bit more sticky, another reason to come back and make it easier for us to use the service. Yep.
I totally agree with that. Now, it's interesting that the Twitter usage is actually down a little bit. I mean, Edison Research today announced that Twitter usage is down for the first time ever, which I think is really, really interesting to me. And that means, Facebook, they also reported Facebook is down, way down among young people. So that's fascinating as we then kind of talk also about Snap. But Christian, what do you think about the Twitter bookmarks?
I think that this is going to simplify things a lot, because instead people had to set up lots of different automation in order to do this. So, for example, the old way was, let me tweet this to myself, or, and then it was, let me like this. And then maybe I've hooked in IFTTT to, then potentially save my things to a Google Doc, which, it's nice, but you don't necessarily want everything to go into there. Now, in this case, super easy. I'm surprised they haven't done this, because everybody has a save feature. Pinterest has one, Facebook has one. So, I'm glad Twitter's finally doing this.
Yeah.
Yep. Much needed. And so I think it's going to be one of those where we see where it goes and see kind of what happens with usage of it. But I know for one that it's valuable to me right away. And it's going to be something that's pretty much a daily kind of tool for me, I believe.
So what was everybody previously doing or using to bookmark their tweets? We're using like a Pocket. We're using, Pinterest to pin something to maybe a private board, or what were y'all doing?
I think it was a mix for me. That was kind of the pain for that. I mean, sometimes I would.
What was that, Mike?
I would try to, do some other things with it. So I didn't have a single routine.
How about you, Phil?
Yeah, same way. I spent a lot of time just doing workarounds. I would take screenshots, or I would, favorite it up and then go back to it. And unfortunately, a lot of times, I would then forget about it. So that caused me a lot of problems. I think this is really a big deal. I
do too. Fantastic update. And for a business, this should simplify things. Instead of having to rely on all these different tools, you'll be able to go to Twitter, save a particular tweet, and then just make sure you remind yourself to go back. And I guess for something like that, maybe you want to set up a calendar update, a calendar reminder, maybe to tell you at the end of every day or every week, go check my tweets that I've saved.
Yep. No, I think so. Well, I mean, if we want to keep moving there, what do you think about on the other side? We talked about Snapchat there. So Snapchat Commerce and some of the developments there. Phil, well, I'll give you the quick summary was just, one of those examples that they used that, where was it? Was it the NBA All-Star game there that they rolled out this thing with Snap Commerce, just given the ability to you stay in the app and kind of run something, run and offer out and allow the person to purchase right there, right away. And so I think that was something they're beginning to explore. And they worked with Nike on this. It was the NBA All-Star weekend there. Scan a code, see the new Air Jordan 3, the Tinker sneaker, and then purchase it within Snapchat via Shopify. So, souped up Snap code. And this is kind of a test, a kind of thing that's out there. They rolled it out a little bit. What was it? Discover, I believe, also they did one with. And so they're testing this out. But Phil, perspective from you on Snap Commerce.
Well, I think the point and shoot to get what you want is coming fast. I mean, it has to be easier than, okay, I take a picture, maybe I look it up, or I have to figure out a QR code. I mean, a lot of times, taking a picture on Snap, you're doing that because you want to share it. So share it and then share the link to buy it. I think that's the next iteration of that. Really, really important for Snapchat to start making some money. I mean, I'd love to see this rolled out even more. I could totally see this as we roll out, food stuff, right? This might be an opportunity how you can interact and actually do this on a restaurant menu. Could be really cool, but I think it's great that they're coming up with this. It's a really good innovation. Looks like they have beat Instagram for a change, but we'll see how long it is before they copy that. That's always the challenge, right? The Facebook, Instagram behemoth has so much dang money and so many resources. It's like they wait for Snapchat to try to innovate, and then they crush them.
Right. They can don't have to invest a lot in R&D, right? It's just wait and copy.
Sadly, that is true. Yep.
Christian, any thoughts on this one?
So I think that, this is basically a QR code. And years ago, and I say this because I've been doing this since 2006, and nobody understood QR codes. And now all of a sudden, they're having this resurgence. And I think this is brilliant. This is brilliant for Snapchat. I'm actually wondering, what do you guys think about, well, I'll go after this in a second, but I think this is great for a business. If you get into doing this and you have creative content for your business, it makes it very seamless. I don't have to go to, for instance, because they're using Shopify, I don't have to go to somebody's website and then try to find the product. Setting up an e-commerce business is very difficult, especially for the average small business. And so I think that this is a brilliant move. It's a very simple one-stop shop to be able to see what you want, scan it, and buy it. It comes down to having a sound strategy. But I think the other play on this, as Phil mentioned here about Snapchat, and need to make some cash. Could you guys see maybe a Shopify acquisition, maybe? Because Shopify is really growing massively as well.
Absolutely. That's actually what I wrote down in my notes here, that I totally see either Snap buying Shopify or Shopify buying Snap, simply because it just makes so much darn sense. And then add over the top of that a technology like Yelp, because Yelp owns Eat24, they own Takeout Tech, they own Grubhub, some of those companies. So take a look at that as a big conglomerate now that can go head to head with the B2C space when it comes to that. And it takes us off of the Facebook platform, because Facebook still doesn't have nearly as many reviews as Yelp, right? And now, holy crap, right now we've got a behemoth to reckon with, instead of being worried that, oh boy, Facebook's just going to rip us off.
And by the way, so Snapchat Spectacles, I bought version 1, and one of the things I said when I got them was, these could be fantastic for a business if I could scan right from the glasses. Now, tie in this whole e-commerce business, I'm out walking around, for instance, I don't have to even go into a store necessarily. I could scan maybe a code that the business has in their window. Maybe I scan a product in store, on the actual product itself. And I've got simplified, streamlined checkout process.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And as businesses go here, the hope is that they start taking more pictures, right? It makes it easier because now it's not just taking a picture for marketing.
Mhm.
Now it's taking a picture so that you can finally sell it. And it's making, instead of a UPC code, remember the olden days when you'd actually have a gun and you'd scan crap, right? Now we're really dating ourselves. But
You scan them with Palm Pilot.
Yeah, there you go. But we're moving towards that.
Absolutely.
I think it's an innovative move. I think, and Snapchat needs to right now, and they need to continue to try to capture the attention, maintain the attention, and offer some type of service. And I think that this has potential. Right now it's kind of with those big brands. Can it get down to how they roll it out? Can it get down to, I guess there's a lot of stores out there that have Shopify. So if they roll that out, some type of integration that, any Shopify store can do it, that'd be, they're gaining a lot of small businesses that way. So that's a positive in this regard. So definitely a positive move, just kind of a wait to see how it's adopted, I think.
Absolutely. So Mike, Phil's coming right back. I think he was having a bit of an echo. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a fantastic move. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out what's Snapchat doing? I mean, they have so many things at their disposal if they do it, the right way. So we're going to bring Phil back in. Let's see if the echo's gone.
Got it. Yep. I
hoping that echo's
stuttered
gone.
a little bit there.
Yeah. Not sure.
I'm hearing
All right,
a little
so we
bit
got to get
still.
some audience feedback there.
Yeah, let us know, folks, if you're hearing an echo. Sorry about that. Could be a Be Live thing. We've had some interesting challenges.
Okay, while we're waiting for.
Go ahead, Mike. What was that? Did we lose Mike, Phil?
Yeah, I think we did. We froze Mike. So we're just too cool for Mike, so we kind of froze him out. That's what was happening there. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I love the conversation about Snap and where this is going, to be honest, Christian. I think it's about time that they really do something. As we see, if the younger people are using Snap, that means eventually they become older people using Snap, and they go from using their parents' disposable income to using their own income. I think that's a great move. It's very smart commerce. I'd love to see them make some purchases. Frankly, I don't think it's going to make me use the app anymore, but I do totally see it way better as a B2C play now than it's ever been.
Absolutely. And I think they kind of need to get away. I love, for instance, the ability to do, the custom lenses and whatnot. But I want to see them move into something more than just lenses, because there's not, there's monetization there, but people buy more stuff than they do lenses. Lenses, they're fun, but
yeah. Well, and lenses is just another way to play with Snapchat. It's not really useful, right? That's the thing. I wear glasses. I'm not going to put Snapchat lenses on, but I can, just like I didn't buy Google glasses. But I can tell you, if you give me something useful that I can do something with, you have a much better chance of capturing my attention and getting me to use it for what it's made, to share that, right? I mean, it makes sharing so much more friction-free than any other tool if they roll this out right.
And that's the key thing as a business, is you have to, make things frictionless. So for the customer, I mean, or let's use the Twitter bookmarks thing. Make it easy for the user to be able to bookmark, versus having to set up, a complicated funnel, a complicated system to be able to save a bookmark. For Snapchat, make it easy for them to be able to purchase. If I'm a business, think about that process, test your process.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Really excellent point there. Really important. The less friction, the easier it is to do, and the more natural it is, right? Because if I can scan and buy in one click, holy cow, that's pretty darn cool. And then that allows me then, if eventually, then I can buy right off of, maybe if I save a screenshot, then it goes to buy that or something like that. I mean, holy cow, right? You can embed that inside of that Snap. We're going to see a lot of opportunities there. And
Snapchat's also been going into allowing third-party sites to be able to embed for instance, I think it's stories. And so I think that's also very useful, tying all these pieces together. I think there's a good opportunity.
Yep, totally agree.
Okay, so let me see it. I don't see Mike. Let's see.
Nope,
I think he's going to come back in.
Yeah, let's hope so, right?
Yeah, let's give him a minute here, and then we'll bring him in.
Yeah.
And sorry, I'm getting a bit of an echo on my end, but it's more my headset.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not hearing the echo now, which is hopefully good. So very strange.
Okay, let's give Mike a second.
Yeah.
And these are some fantastic topics. I mean, I love it when these align for businesses versus like, hey, it's just a feature that you kind of have to figure out how to use.
Yep, I totally agree. Well, it prevents the magicians from taking advantage of people, right? That's my big thing. I mean, I hate that when you have to be a magician to figure stuff out. Like used to be on Twitter, how did you retweet and add that? And you got to add so many characters. Well, now, come on, like make it easy. And they did. So I really like that. I think, the ultimate goal is to have no magicians and just make it easy for people to use. And then people can pay a strategist, right? Because you just need strategy, but you shouldn't need to pay somebody a couple $100 an hour to hit the Twitter button. I mean, that's just silly. But I see it, though. I talk to business owners that get totally hosed. They spend a couple grand a month, and they're like, well, we didn't get any results, but I hired a nice 23-year-old kid who really, they tweet a lot, but I'm like, what are you talking about? That's horrible.
And I've run into the same thing of people where I work with them and we have to fix the things that other people have done. It's like, oh, hey, I did this. And it's like, well, all they did was automate this.
Right.
So it's unfortunate. I mean, but, it's business. I mean, you have to do it the right way, and there's a lot of people that are going to, they're going to try to do things that are, they seem like they're good tactics, but they're really just doing it as a money grab.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't we go buy some Twitter followers while we're waiting for Mike here? That'd be
I think we could idea. Actually.
That's probably a great way. If we crowdfunded that, 5 people from everybody who left a comment, we've got almost $100 here. We could probably get 50,000 Twitter followers that just retweet our crap and maybe rig an election or two. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what we're in for Mike, I mean, what do you want to, let's talk a little bit about, the fact that Twitter is changing their terms of service that says that you can't no longer tweet the exact same thing 10 or 20 times from 10 or 20 different accounts. I mean, you think that's going to dilute, that's going to, lower usage initially and then boost it back up, or what do you think?
I really hope it does. I hope it kicks the people off that don't necessarily need to, be using Twitter, for instance, or they're using it the wrong way. But I think that it should bring those people off and then hopefully bring the right people back in. Cool. It's basically, kind of like, people who bought page likes, for instance, on Facebook. You bought your audience, and now you have this whole mess of people that really aren't going to interact with you. You need to, do some pruning, essentially. Get rid of those people and bring the right people back in that are essentially, your customer.
Yeah.
Mike, welcome back.
Wow. I had a long blip there. So sorry about that.
Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Yeah. So what all did I miss, man? What all did I miss?
Well, we solved world hunger and we bought 50,000 Twitter followers and now you're back up for $100. Yep.
All right. Never a dull moment then.
No. So we did not move forward. We waited for you.
Gosh.
And Mike Alton, by the way, he says he's got a Fiverr gig we can use. That's totally legit.
Awesome.
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. Well, I'll put in 50 cents then instead of $5. Thank you.
There we go. There we go. What I had been trying to say before I realized that I was gone was that one of the things that Phil had said about when we were talking about Snap Commerce was how that interplay of who's first to something, Snapchat or Instagram, and then if Snapchat does get there first, Instagram quickly follows up and copies something out, and that kind of led me into this next one here with the possible rollout, so that it's being seen in the Instagram Android APK documentation for the potential for Instagram voice and audio, of course, which Snapchat already has. To make voice and audio calls within Snapchat currently. We're seeing the potential for that in Instagram now. And so what do we think? And Phil, your thoughts on that if it were to roll out within Instagram?
Well, Instagram is so darn visual. It's really hard for me to think about how text only is going to play on Instagram. I mean, when I turn on my television, I don't listen to the radio. So I don't know how turning on Instagram is going to get me to listen to somebody's podcast, for instance, or to hear, 60 seconds of this show. Watching it, I want to see that interaction, right? People like it for the motion. I think they like the surprise when people use a tool to like cut up 9 images and turn it into one big image. But that's a surprise, right? You can't do that every day. That's, most people don't go look at your profile. Right. They see you in the stream. They see you in the feed. And I think, a little bit of chatter, that's fine. I mean, really what they're doing there, if you ask me, is they're just going to integrate the WhatsApp protocol probably in there. So what? I mean, I don't see it. The platform doesn't need it. I think that's just a copycat move. That's likely a waste of money that, somebody got their underwear in a twist because, Snap had it and they didn't. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Christian, thoughts?
I don't see this being useful. I mean, they're adding everything to Instagram to essentially make it also essentially so it's like a Snapchat and a Facebook clone. Like at some point, and I've been saying this for years, that Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, they need to combine into one app, into one tool. I mean, they're essentially duplicating the same things. And everybody has audiences all over the place. Why not just make one platform where everybody can just go to this one platform and you have all the same features versus, well, this one has this one, this one has this one, this is this, and I have to figure out how to use it. It's too complicated.
Okay. Yeah. And I think as well that it's not a necessary feature. I think that it kind of takes, and this is the question for me is, will it kind of clutter or cause a disturbance enough that it would actually hurt, user involvement? Will some people be annoyed by it if people are trying to reach out to them with, a voice or video call? So is there the potential that that it actually hurts Instagram in that regard? Because, it's all about the rollout, it's all about the adoption, but I'm not sure it does fit. I'm not sure that Instagram needs to be a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting point, Mike. I really don't think, as marketers, right, we're going to test it, we're going to play with it. But I really think, for me, I'm not teaching my sales teams to do that. I'm certainly not going to talk to people that are like, hey, you should call people on Instagram. Now, that being said, right, if you get a call, don't be an idiot and don't answer it just because you don't like it. But at the same time, I cannot see big corporations moving away from their telephones to now, yay, we've got Instagram calling. That's idiotic, right? So I think it's much ado about nothing. I think we'll eventually see that it's just junk that Instagram has as a potential thing. I don't see it working out.
Okay.
It kind of reminds me of the direct messaging feature on Instagram. It's there, but a lot of people I don't think really use it. It's more like an afterthought.
Yeah, for sure. I like the ability, though, to reply to stories. So I could see maybe integrating voice there, that I might say that if I'm listening to your live, that I might then leave you a voice message and not necessarily want to do that. But again, that's such a small percentage. Most of the people there, they're just voyeurs. They just like to watch. They don't really have the balls to actually call anybody, right? So that's what I think.
And I think at the same time, you make a good point there. People can go in and reply to, something by audio. I think that would be a great way to, as a business, like curate content, answer questions that your customers have. It lets you actually hear who your customers are. So, for example, like Mike, you and I have interacted plenty of times. And I think Mike's frozen, by the way.
Yeah, he is. He's frozen it.
But, it lets you get to know your customers, their voice versus, you meet the person in person. you're able to, see the person, start to recognize them, maybe start to hear their voice now with the audio side of things. I think it helps you strengthen the customer relationship, if you're paying attention to that. It could.
Well, it could, right? But I think a lot of customers these days, they just want that little bit of interaction. And as long as that's friction free, they don't want to interact more. Like, right. I know, a lot of the younger generation, they don't use their phones as phones anymore, right? They're data devices. I can see a time where we go back to smartphones without phones. Mm-hmm. And so I would say the same is going to be true about Instagram. I think, a lot of these, it's a lot of picture taking and even silent videos with captions, more important than turning the sound on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, welcome we'll back, see, Mike. Though.
Yep, thank you. Gosh.
So we didn't buy any more Twitter followers this time, but
no. Hey, we're up to 100K.
Hey!
There we go. Mike Alton, I need that fiber. So
that's it.
I caught the end of that there. And okay, so let's roll into our next one though, just because we're on this topic of audio. And now we're coming out that in India, Facebook is testing voice clip status updates. Okay, so it's in India right now. It's not widespread, but voice clip status updates. You just said that younger generations not even using their phone for the audio piece of that. We're not necessarily sure that Instagram having the voice, the audio is good. How about Facebook voice clip status updates?
Well,
mini podcasting.
I'm going to say I totally see them buying Anchor and making this happen, because I really think that in a broadcast way is absolutely going to happen, especially if they're smart and they automatically transcribe it. I think that's really important because, like, a lot of times, again, I'm cruising through Facebook. I don't always want to watch your video, or I'm certainly not going to turn sound on, but I might watch the captions, and I can see that happening with that. But I really think this is a play. They're going to have Facebook Listen, which is then going to be a station on your car, much like Stitcher Radio has it, much like they're moving this. So I really think, just like Facebook Watch they're going to break that out, create a separate app for that that's going to sit then on your Apple TV, or you can put it on your Roku or something like that. I really think that Facebook Listen is going to come out and do the same thing and probably demolish a lot of these podcasting platforms if they integrate the transcription, and then if they letterbox it for you automatically. Holy cow, right? That's going to wreck the way that we even think about this stuff. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think I love your example of possibly buying Anchor, or Facebook Listen. I think that makes so much sense. Facebook needs to, if people are having a hard time, or I don't say they're having a hard time, but they're spending less time on Facebook, you need to find another medium to reach them, and you have Apple TV. That's picking up a lot of steam with Apple TV 4K. And then you also have radio, as you mentioned, and it's essentially not something new. It's just reinventing radio. People tuning into stations and whatnot.
Right.
So I think this is a fantastic move.
You think it's a fantastic move? Okay. So I think there's potential legs for it. Particularly if they go with what Phil talked about that transcribing it. Because I think that, I'm not sure with the younger generation on how much they want to just listen to something, an audio clip that way. I think there's a older millennial boomer that really likes that kind of method. And so, again, that's a strong demographic on Facebook. So there's value there. So I think, it's a wait and see, but I think it's something they definitely need to explore just because of the breadth of their demographic reach.
Yeah, I think they're also going to look at going head to head here with Spotify. They just or Pandora, because they just licensed a bunch of music that you can put in your thing. So imagine if you can take your audio clips, you can make your own mixtape, you can share it on Facebook or you can include it in your Facebook Messenger. So it's almost like taking a Musical.ly, Spotify, Pandora, and really make something pretty cool that, and this is the most important thing for Facebook, I think, is you have to extract it from Facebook and make it an app so that it'll play in the background. That's the problem with YouTube, and that's the problem with Facebook, because if I'm out of the app, I'm screwed. I can't listen anymore.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't play in the background. So extract it out and let me listen to it in the background. And now you've got some really big opportunity here that you didn't have before, because I can still gameplay, right? I could still potentially use Snapchat and take pictures with it, or, you know, if Instagram steals that, right? I really think this has potential, but it's really, really early on to say where this is going.
And I think, by the way, you mentioned something about being able to automatically transcribe this. What do you think about also maybe having it where it takes a link that somebody shares and it turns it into audio automatically? So, for example, if I shared a link to my blog, maybe it automatically creates a Facebook audio status update.
Audio status update.
And then that way I can choose to, you know, watch, read, or listen.
Interesting. I worry about the copyright potential of that, though. Right. If I'm sharing a link to somewhere, I worry that then Facebook somehow, because they transcribed it, it becomes Facebook property, which means then Facebook is liable for that, which is one of the reasons why, you know, they're degrading anything that bounces off the platform, because they can't control it, because they don't want to be liable for it. So, well, I think that, you know, that's got great potential. And I bet somebody builds an app like that for sure, Christian. I don't know that Facebook will want to own that, because that could get them in some sticky wickets.
Absolutely. And by the way, you mentioned Anchor earlier. I also thought of another app that would work well for Facebook, would possibly be Audiogram, which we talked about on episode 127, which was like a couple weeks ago, essentially making audio clips for Instagram.
Cool.
I really like Phil's idea, though, about the background. I think if they conquer that, so that you can allow some of this audio to be in the background, game changer. Yeah.
So what are we at the end of the list, or?
We are at the end of the list of social media updates. It was time to kind of jump into some of the tool apps that we had for today.
I've got two tools for everyone, two quick ones. First one is called Square Sized. This one essentially is an app for keeping your photos and your videos in full frame on Instagram. And, you know, it's one of the biggest problems. You take a photo and, you know, you want to include everything and you can't. So this is I think this is a free app now on the Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, it's free.
Sorry, yeah, free app on iOS.
Yep. 70% off today if people download right now to get all the ads and all the extras removed. Because I played with it today. I didn't spend the $5, but it's got a lot of potential. I mean, I like the fact that it'll help me make them the correct size, and then I'll export it to my camera roll, because, you know, Square, that as much as we say, hey, turn it so that it's like a TV, remember Square ads actually take up more screen real estate on LinkedIn, on Facebook, you know, on everywhere, which means less of your competition. So I really think, you know, Square is here where it's at, right? Square like a triangle.
And that's actually really smart. I love the idea of taking up a little bit of extra space in the newsfeed of whatever platform you're on, you know, and that actually then kind of pushes out your competition a little bit. And it's a smart way.
Yep, without being obnoxious, right? That most people don't even think about that, but I really see we're going to see more and more Square, because again, TVs aren't the only way that we view anymore.
Yep. And just for the audience, so basically what you can do is take let's just say it's a portrait picture, right? So it was taken vertically, and then Square will allow you to turn that into a square image. Now, not necessarily by cropping it, but by filling it out, so that you can put a background to take that from vertical to a square. And do some things with it that way. So that's one of the pieces that offers a number of tools within it to help you get to that square size. That's kind of a neat feature that I saw within the app.
Yep.
And it'd be cool if, you know, you could do your own branding or something like that around your image, you know, something custom. But in this case, I mean, you get some nice options, very useful.
Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right, Christian, you got number 2
so
out
the
there?
second tool that we've got for you is called Juicer. Has anybody had a chance to play with this yet?
Yeah, well, I checked it out. I didn't play with it, but I like it. It looks like it's a combination of what Storify used to do, because Storify's dead or will be dead within a month, and so, and an RSS feed. So I think that's really cool. It's got a lot of potential. I can see this almost being used like a tag board used to be, where you'd put it on a conference screen, especially if, as it gets going, if you can filter out keywords or filter out for profanity, so you don't get the oops, oh my gosh, I can't believe that made it on the screen, or to the feed. Because I mean, that's a problem, right? If something trends, spammers are going to hashjack it. That's just how it happens. So I think it's got great potential. Juicer could be really cool. And we'll see. I mean, I'm curious to see how they end up monetizing this. That's my question. I mean, because these cool apps, it's great that they make them free, but show me, other than through advertising, how you're going to make some money here, because I just don't see it. I think it's cool. It's got potential. We play with it for a year. Maybe they get bought by somebody, but I don't know. Hard to say.
I'm surprised that, everybody's still pushing into advertising. I mean, I know advertising is where, a lot of the money is at, but I mean, come on, there's got to be a more creative way for you to monetize this business than just advertising. I mean, come up, charge people, a couple dollars, build a solid user base. I mean, it seems to me like all they do is, they launch an app and they just hope to get it acquired.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no long-term strategy there.
They're lazy, right? I mean, that's the thing. Anybody can create an app. I can pay somebody $1,000 and make an app. Not useful.
Nope.
Right.
It's hard to recoup that $1,000. I mean,
yeah. It's nearly impossible, right? I mean, that's the thing. Because app usage is going down, we're seeing that. I've got 800 apps on my phone. I use 10 of them. And that's twice what most people do. Most people use the big 5. They use Amazon, Apple. They use something from Apple, right? Usually the store or iTunes. They use, Spotify. They probably use a Google app, and they're using one other social network. That's 5 apps. I mean, come on. And you're trying to shove into a $4 million or 4 million app marketplace where people are going to download it for free for a day, and then they're going to forget about you. Forget it, man.
And it basically goes into a folder, and then you forget it. You don't ever. It's kind of like the Twitter bookmarks. You forget to go back to them. Absolutely. It's the same way.
74th screen. There it is.
Yep.
I actually got to the point where I said, you know what? I only want 3 pages on my phone. And I have a couple folders here and there, but I don't ever find myself going into those folders. It's a junk drawer essentially. In your house.
There you go. An app junk drawer. There we go.
It would be nice if they would prompt you actually to say, hey, I've got these apps, and, you haven't used this one in, you've never used this one, or you haven't used this one in a year. Do you still need it?
Yeah, but that would discourage people, though, from making apps, which would then, change our economy, right? That's like a flat income tax. That isn't going to happen either.
So, Phil, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. So great to meet you as well.
Yeah, this is fun. So you guys have a great show here. A lot of great questions. This is fun to be interactive and be really in the moment and do stuff. So thanks for having me on.
So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So I would say, find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my fun place. I spend a lot of time there. If you can spell my last name, it's Gerbyshak. My LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Phil Gerb, PhilGerb, or follow me on Twitter. I'm at Phil Gerb, PhilGerb. Happy to have a conversation with anybody. Happy to chat and see. Those are usually the easiest ways, or, just go to my website. It's just my name, philgerbyshak.com. And check it out. So I like to share smart stuff, and I love to have great conversations like this.
Sounds good. This
excellent.
Is a pleasure. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Everybody who's been watching. I want to thank Phil for joining us. I want to thank Mike for filling in as as our guest co-host, as Nick's off handling some stuff. But if you want to connect with Phil, we're dropping his links in the comments for the show. I'll have a blog recap up tomorrow. Tomorrow meeting because it's Friday for me and Thursday for you all, right?
Still Thursday.
So absolute pleasure. Phil, definitely going to stay in touch and want to chat with you more. So this has been a blast. But
yeah,
you all have a fantastic evening, and thanks a lot for joining us.
Yep. Thanks.
Bye.
Phil, walk siesta key for me, okay?
Yeah, buddy. See you soon.
All right. See ya. Take care.
Bye, guys.